Today on my channel, Planner Friends, we're going to talk some Bible verses while I create a little bit of a pretty space in my prayer journal. And my goal here is to really inspire you. And I want to talk honestly about prayer and how society frames it versus the reality. So we're just going to chat some Bible verses, and while I'm creative, stay tuned, Planner Friends. Hello, Planner Friends, and welcome to my channel. I'm One Crafty Dolo, and I'm very happy you're here with me today. Thank you for taking your time and spending it with me. Time is definitely our most precious commodity, and it just seems to keep going like that. So today what I'd like to do is to just do a little creativity in my prayer journal and to just chit-chat a bit with you. So let's have some creative fun. My goal here is always to inspire you. On Sundays, it's always about Jesus, Bible journaling. I have a cup of tea over there, and creativity. So this is a really lovely journal my sister-in-law gave me for Christmas, and I have been decorating the front part. So this is the front piece, and then I have different verses in here. And I've just been creating slowly but surely. I really like how this turned out, actually. And this one's a little bit of a hodgepodge. Sometimes we're finding our creative legs, right? And then this is the most recent one I did. So what I wanted to do today was do some inking and maybe some paper crafty kind of thing while we're talking. What I decided to do to add to this is I went into this, I marked, this was in this past week. And I just want to talk a little bit about this verse, Philippians 4-6. Now this is NLT translation. I generally like ESV, but that's okay. So tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. So let's do that and talk about that. If you're new, you're welcome to subscribe and tap the notification bell and all those good things. So today I have 2 inks, and I grabbed some of this, which is part of a Craft Smart pack that I've had for eons. So I'd like to use some of this today. And what's nice with all these strips, there's so much here just on this little sheet. So I thought we could have some fun with that. But first, I wanted to ink. So I'm going to start with the light, and then I'm gonna kind of try to ombre it down to the dark. So we're gonna use this Mowed Lawn Distressed Oxide and chat about that Bible verse. So, true confession, I watch some reality TV. I guess it's endemic, right? But I've been watching it for years. I've been watching the Real Housewives franchise, which I really know. I know that doesn't gel with my Sunday faith, but I have a point. Intermittently, I've watched some of them here and there since. There's a few franchises I'll watch, give or take, but not all, okay? One of the franchises had a woman who was always big on what I call it drive-through religion or drive-through Jesus, which is really not meant to be a nice way to say it. And what I mean by that is, believe me, I don't disdain anybody who's in faith, but she would always tout her material wealth, which turned out to be a sham, by the way. And she always touted this phrase, ask, believe, receive. Okay. So how does that tie in with my little verse here? Again, I'm going to read it one more time. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. And so this kind of drive-by mentality, like, yeah, I just roll up in my car and I tell God or Jesus what I need. You know, I have a checklist, and then I get it, and look at me go. That's so offensive to people in faith, I feel, and it makes a mockery of what we are and how we roll. So I think there's, and I've seen this phrase in a lot of different places, this kind of ask, believe, receive, like you're ordering takeout, you know, God, I'm sorry, God is not a container of lo mein and a side order of egg rolls. He's just not, okay? And that's how offensive I think that mentality is. So here I'm going to go in a little deeper because I'm going to start transitioning to the darker color. So I just want to talk about that because I think, okay, ask, believe, receive, but I think there's one key word that's missing and that I always think of because I think it's crucial to us as people of faith, as Christians. Accept. How many times have you prayed for assistance in your life? I know I have more than I wish, you know, I more than I care to admit. We're going to use this Archival Ink English Ivy. So you pray it up because you need help, right? You pray it up because you're thankful. You pray it up and pray it up. But how many times have your answers come to you and they're not at all what you thought they would be? And that's the difference. You pray it up and you stay in faith, but you really have, as you're praying, as you're going forth in your prayers, you don't know what the answer is going to be, but you do know one thing, that you're loved, that God's got you, and that the answer may be entirely different from what you anticipated. And that's, you have to know that's part of his plan, right? And so you think, oh, you know, we humans are ridiculous. We just are, because we think we have the answers. And you go to school and you study and you get educated and you read, and however you educate yourself, formally, informally, whatever. We're all thinking beings. And you think, oh, I'm clever. I know the answers. And guess what? You may be clever. You may know some answers as far as who you are goes, but you don't know the big picture. And that's something we just don't have sight of. So when I see people acting like they're extreme wealth, which again, in this case of this particular reality star, I'll use this Air Bunny quotes, it isn't true. She isn't wealthy. But it's just, there's that crucial piece missing. And I think that's really what matters, accepting. And how do you then, when you get an anticipated answer, how do you accept it? Do you accept it? Because I think that's really crucial. So I'm going to cut a little bit. So let me put this aside. It's going to dry. This is more of a blue ink. This is more of a green yellow ink, but this is what I have. So this is why I'm going to use this. Let me move these over. I love this little silicone mat I got from scrapbook.com. It's really been great. So I'm going to do some cutting off camera because I get nervous. Okay, so I did some cutting. I didn't cut everything, but I made a few cuts here. I go off camera. If you're new, I have visual challenges, so I get so nervous. And you can see sometimes I get things are okay, sometimes they're a little off, but I don't think something like a challenge should stop you from being creative and having fun. So let me take these off and bring this back over. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So as I was saying, I think the idea of accepting God's will is so important to us as Christians. Any faith, really. Any faith. I mean, and I think that knowing that your best interest is there, he hears you, he sees you, but it may just not be what you think it should be, the answers, that is. So, I don't know, I just thought I would share that a little bit because I think sometimes we forget. We're humans, we forget. We think, oh, we have the answers, and no, we don't, sorry. And so, but this idea, let me go back a little bit. Let me step back a minute, like I would in teaching. The idea that you can just say to God, well, I want this and I deserve that. Ugh, the hubris and the arrogance. And that is so contrary to what we believe. And that really bothers me. And that's why I call it like kind of like, you know, the drive-through idea of faith and Jesus and religion. That's not at all acceptable. And of course they would put something like that on TV, right? Because, you know, there's this idea that people who have religion and faith are somehow duped. At least that's certainly, you know, that somehow we're not as enlightened. And when I was in academia, that was really prevalent there. Oh, you're just foolish. You know, you people who believe in that superstitious gobbledygook and so forth. And it used to really upset me, to say the least. And that's when I started wearing cross necklaces all the time. That was it, because I was working with people who just, they're entitled to their beliefs, believe me. But so am I. And if I'm not saying anything negative about your belief system, well, then don't say it about mine. And I do think this kind of Hollywood portrayal of things, it's so unfortunate, isn't it? Because it just detracts from the truth and the joy and the beauty. Okay, so now I'm going to get out some glue. I don't feel like tangling with those ridiculous adhesives today, just not my jam today. I'm going to see what we're going to do here. Okay. Okay, so here we go. It's looking good, right? So the question is, how do I want to put these in? Maybe something like this. Yes, I think that's what we will do. Okay. Okay, so I adhered everything down. This one could use a little more. That's okay. So I want to finish talking to you about this idea of ask, believe, accept, receive, and yeah. Okay, so what do you think? I think this is coming together well. You could see I had a little glitch down here. I mismeasured. You know what? Guess what? We're fine. This is how things happen, and we just move along. Yeah, I'm good with it. I mean, so what? It's my creative space, and I'm going to make mistakes because I'm human, and life isn't a perfect Instagram post or a perfect video, right? So let me put this in here again. And now I want to add a biblical verse to the bottom because I think that's what I need to do right now. Okay, so the verse that I picked, it's just part of a verse. It's from Romans. I double checked it before I got on here. I'm not a biblical scholar, so I don't remember everything. It's Romans 12:12. The full verse is rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer. And I thought that was a good bookend to this other verse that I read you earlier that really I think is important. Although my verse is from the ESV, the other one was the NLT. And again, it was tell God what you need and thank him for all he has done. And we do that. We do that daily, don't we? So I'm just going to put in rejoice in hope because I don't think I'm going to be able to fit it in now. I am not a calligrapher. I do need work on my letterings, but you know what? I'm having fun. And so to me, in the end, that's what matters. So I'm just going to put in some quote marks here and rejoice in hope, right? Okay, and over here, I'm going to put the verse, Romans 12:12. And there we have it. I really love how this turned out. And in fact, I may take that verse, the rest of it, and add it to the next few pages, depending on, they'd be really great to do it. This is one of those Tombow markers. I only have 3 of them, but I kind of like them a lot, more than I do the Mildliners, interestingly enough. So now that I know that, I may purchase more at some point. But really quickly, I'm going to give you an example how I have put this idea of ask, believe, accept, receive into practice. We moved in 2022, and where we moved, I was really excited to move there. I had a lot of hope. I really did put my faith that this was going to be a good answer. And in many ways it was. It strengthened us. It certainly helped me in terms of, the gift from that season is really for me seeing that I am an educator deep in me. It's not what I do, it's who I am. And I worked with young children mostly, and I really benefited from it a great deal. And I saw that I could do that in a way I never knew possible. That is giving rise to some of my writing projects and future things that I'm working on. But it didn't work for the other people in my family. And even I ran into some difficulties at my job, unfortunately. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I loved what I did. But sometimes when you're really good at what you do, people appreciate it. And sometimes maybe less so. And there's other things going on in their life. And, they weren't always so nice. Let's leave it at that. So we moved in less than a year. Again, still another opportunity came up, and we have again moved. And I had a lot of trepidation about leaving. And I just prayed it up. Okay. I just prayed constantly. And everything, when I say everything fell into place in this new situation in such a fast amount of time, I can't even begin to explain how God moved it along, moved mountains, etc. So I had to accept that his will was to be where we are now, not where we were. And I had to accept that even though I wanted things to be a certain way, he had another vision. And so that's where you're not doing a drive-by Jesus. You're not saying, yeah, look at all I've got. No, sometimes the best things that happen come out of something difficult or something that didn't work. And part of it is part of our role, I feel, as Christians, is to accept that truth, that we don't control it, he does, and he knows what's best. So I would love to know in the comments, if you've been kind enough to stay with me through this whole video, some of your tests and how you have found a situation where you had to accept it and you had to understand that this is what was meant to be, and you're just going to go with it. Anyway, thank you, friends, for being with me on this journey. Incidentally, I wanted to show you the prayer part. This is how much I've been writing, sometimes more, sometimes less, but I do like this idea of having a prayer journal. You know what I really enjoy, real quick? Letters to God. I create letters to God all the time, and that's something for next year, whatever faith planners I decide to use, that's something I'm going to incorporate, because I feel that's really an important part of my life now, a letter to God. And just, it's a prayer, but it's also, I don't know, maybe because I love to write so much. But anyway, thank you so much for being here with me, and I hope I inspired you. And I'm going to read this full verse one more time for a little extra inspiration. Romans 12:12. This is the ESV version. Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation. Okay, patient in tribulation, and be constant in prayer. So ask, believe, accept, receive. Thank you so much, planner friends. I really enjoy our time together. Have a blessed week. Bye, planner friends.